Hello YouTube, Alex Kidd here again for a brief update on the Super Speedway slash Turbo Tunnel, the design that commented on yesterday for DocM. I had a comment on my first response from Boo for the Wonder Horse. I hope I said that right. Just kind of explaining the idea of the concept, trying to actually get this to look faster. So he made me get thinking. I put on my thinking cap and made a couple of major changes to this design, and hopefully this actually looks a lot better, and maybe even Doc likes it. I do see that on his original video he's intended on keeping it going the opposite direction, but I wanted to just kind of show this design and see what he thought on it. So here you go. Okay, and since actions speak louder than words, I'm going to actually just give a demonstration first so you can see what it looks like completed, and I will actually explain what's changed in a moment in order to accomplish this. I'm going to get into the cart here and push the button, and we're heading on down the railway here, and you can see I'm now very clearly overtaking the arrows, and you can and getting a really cool effect. When Boo was commenting on trying to get the system to overtake the arrows, I had to come up with, in my mind, the idea of trying to get maybe more arrows than just one on at a time. So I thought about maybe using pulse lengtheners and some other sorts of contraptions in order to make these things stay on for longer and make several on at once. I just came to an epiphany that you just reverse your logic and instead use just black bands of the arrow shutting off, and it looks like there's always about 3 or 4 on at one time in each separate what I'll call wave. So you have waves of lights on, and then of course the same thing in my last video. I just have the cart go back down, pushes the pressure plate, and that deactivates the system. You can see it will eventually get there. And first off, you can tell that I went ahead and put a pressure a sensor closer to the beginning just to try and compensate for some of the delay in getting the signal to the sequence to get it started. Gives me just a little bit of time, I think enough, but really in a second I'll show you there's still additional work I had to do in order to get this to work. And in terms of the lights being on all the time, the second benefit of doing it this way, where you actually have waves of or bands of black arrows going down through rather than just one arrow at a time being on, or maybe a couple of arrows, is that this room becomes spawn proof all the time, even when the system's off. So that effect kind of, as long as you're okay with that effect, this is a lot better. So how do I get the quick pulses to how do I get these to stay on? I said I reversed the logic. So what I ended up doing was, instead of pulse lengtheners, I just made the default state of each to be on, and I do that with this redstone trace here and an output redstone torch here that's basically on all the time. And you can see that in order to turn them off, I'm using a delay of in this case I'm using a delay of 12 per segment between each light, and that creates that black band coming down through here. Now, I did this, of course, exactly the same on the other side. But the trickier part is to say, okay, well, now I want multiple waves. So you have to use your thinking cap for some math and figure out, okay, whoa, massive lag there. So I've got 12 delay between each of these. I've got 11 arrows for 10 segments. So 120 delay from beginning to end in this particular design. So what I wanted to do was, I'm getting a lot of glitching. I really hate this glitching into the redstone repeaters here. What you have to do is take that 120 and divide it by the number of waves you want. So in this case I wanted 3 waves, so I took 120 divided by 3 gives me 40. That means my clock needs to be set to a 40 delay for a complete wait. I've got 3 ticks, 3 ticks, 3 ticks. That's 9 ticks plus 1 tick here on the last one. That gives me 10 ticks on each leg of the clock. Now, of course, I've got more repeaters here than necessary. I thought before I was going to do 2 waves, and that didn't have a cool enough effect. So I just basically took the current design. So in other words, I could have done that with 3 repeaters. So that's why I've got too many repeaters here. I didn't want to break it down and change it back. So clock is much bigger. Back here, the pulse generator is basically the same. But there was also another minor issue. Well, actually, it was somewhat major because of the way that the system activates on the pressure pad. This detector here, it takes time to get this whole system started, right? So by the time it actually starts and the pulse gets to the first arrow, your card is way past it. So if you didn't, then guess what? You saw almost nothing, in terms of lights, unless in the light show, unless you actually just turned around and looked at it, and that wasn't cool or fun or anything. So I came up with this. I turned this pilot off around here, so it charges the clock and simultaneously sends a charge over to this trace, and basically it primes the system. It actually primes it and puts a charge, inserts a charge at the very beginning of the sequence, starting at the 3rd light. And of course, here is the path where I went underneath the tunnel over to the other side, and there I inserted at the same exact location on the opposite side. So this is the opposing side. Again, design is identical other than that one trace that comes across. And I can go ahead and quickly show here. I moved this back a little bit. This is the path where the first arrow on each side is lit up using this repeater here on this side, and this repeater set to 2 ticks because I have to have 2 repeaters along this line in order to get the power over to the other side. So I got 1 repeater here with 1 tick, and then on the other side I have another repeater with 1 tick. So that keeps both sides synchronized. I'll go and walk on through this way. So there you go. Anyway, basically, if you wanted to take this system and change it to, if you wanted to change the system where it was 2 waves instead of 3 like I have right now, you would use this same set of repeaters, but because you're going to divide 120 by 2, that's 60 delay, so that's 15 per side. You would want 4, 8, 12 plus a 3 tick on this, and do that on each of the 4 legs of the clock, and that's it. I think this design, I really like this design, and I hope Doc likes it as well. So you guys enjoy, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Peace out. Hey guys, there's a little bit of improvement that could be done on the design I just showed you, but it is quite a bit laborious in terms of the amount of digging you'll have to do, and also there's a lot of extra materials in order to accomplish this. What I'm talking about actually is that the arrows will still flash off and then on. I mean, you'll never see it continuously down the line without pulse lengtheners. So pulse lengtheners use a lot of extra repeaters, and I'll show you that here in a second, but this is what it looks like. So I flick the switch real quick to simulate a pulse, and you can see that now they're staying off. At least one is off the entire time all the way down. So this is probably what you'd be expecting. Would be nice to have that, and here's what it's like. This is just my redstone trace here. I'm going back here, and I'm using a set of pulse repeaters here to create what's called a pulse lengthener. If all of these power this redstone trace here, basically when this red repeater is on for 4 ticks, that redstone is powered by it the whole time. Now while that one is running, this one right here is running, and it's sending to this repeater, but it doesn't do it until it gets to the 4th tick. So for the next 4 ticks, this one is powering that block, which again powers that redstone trace. Goes over there, and again finally you get to this one, which gives you the 12th, the 9th through the 12th ticks, and again all of those are always powering this torch, which turns off that arrow. And then between each ones you have a 10 tick delay, which is just these 3 repeaters here, and then of course the whole process starts again with another set of repeaters for the pulse lengthener. That turns off the next one, and 10. And the explanation behind 10 ticks is just so you have a teeny tiny bit of overlap because if you do it perfectly 12, it will still kind of look like it's flickering a little bit. But if you decide to do that, it's a lot of digging to dig out all the extra room to make this happen, and all the extra materials to make these repeaters. So just thought I'd give that to suggestion. Let me know if you like that idea. You have a good one.